Hey everyone, welcome to Curveball. This is Heather Campbell, and today I am with the venerable Molly Smith, who did what so many high achievers are told to do. She climbed the corporate ladder all the way to the C-suite and realized she was absolutely miserable. In fact, I think she would say that she was in a funk, like a big funk. The role didn't fit. The success looked great on paper, but it felt hollow in real life. So Molly did something, this is terrifying, but I think I'm going to say something completely counterintuitive. She stepped away from the title, the paycheck, and the version of success she worked 15 years to achieve, meaning she took a step down in pay and in title. And in corporate, this is for all my corporate people, this is like almost unbelievable that someone would choose to do that. What followed was a total redefinition of who she was and how she wanted to live. She's the author of the book, What the Funk? And I'm so happy. Welcome to Curveball, Molly Smith.
Hey, thank you so much, Heather. I'm glad to be here.
Oh my gosh. So let's start with the moment I've made it, but I hate it moment.
What a great way to love it.
But like because so many people think like, oh my gosh, you made it all the way up to the very top levels of this organization. Mm-hmm. Lucky you. How did it finally land that this is, did you know right away? Was it a slow build?
No, it definitely was a slow build. I left my previous company after over 20 years with them to take an opportunity in this company as the only female executive at the time.
Interesting.
And very male dominated. Like I was obviously the only woman. There weren't very many women on staff when I came on staff in 2020. And so it was really a cool opportunity. I was like ready to roll up my sleeves and make a mark and do some amazing work. And it truly is an amazing company. Right. But with small companies at the time, you wear multiple hats, and my role shifted over the course of the first, call it year and a half, and actually into an area that was more aligned to my skill set. However, in the probably 2022 year, so I'd been there about 2.5 years.
Right.
I will tell you that a lot of what I was being held accountable for were things outside my skill set. So just to frame it up for you, my background is in software and technology operations, and I was being asked to go and build relationships and do basically like business development with large nonprofits and foundations, completely outside my skill set. Right. And so I knew it was misaligned, but I had spent 15 years getting to this point, building my skills and making a name for myself in corporate America to get this role. And it's like, I'm going to figure it out. Well,
of course. Oh, like
that did not work out well.
Well, I worked in a very male dominated industry too. I worked in real estate development.
Oh yeah.
And it was just very interesting because I don't know if you felt like this, but I just felt like men and women men don't give recognition the same way. And if I'm generalizing, it's because that's just been my experience working with men. Their feedback loop is a little bit different. So you don't get the kind of recognition or reinforcement. And I think like you're just like, okay, I'll figure it out and I'll take on this other work because surely they'll recognize how amazing I am if I do this, my job and this. And nothing happens. And then they're like, oh my God, what if I did this? Right. Surely they'll recognize me now. And then before you know it, like you're burnt out. Did you ever feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. I was in this season, like probably the last 6 months of 2022 and into very early 2023. I was living with such imposter syndrome because I was trying to make tracks in this area, and it was really difficult. And so I didn't want people, my peers, my boss to know like she doesn't know what she's doing, which is truly the definition of imposter syndrome. It's like, I'm going to work as hard as I can to try to figure this out. Like it's not going to be for lack of effort. Right. And we had some movement here and there. At the end of 2022, the progress wasn't made. And at that time I was like waiting for 5 o'clock to hit so I could go drink the 1 to 3 glasses of wine because I needed to check out. I was so misaligned and I didn't know how to name or acknowledge what I was feeling. All I could do was numb it or escape it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so then, okay. So then at what point did you say, like, I just have to make a change?
Yeah. So it's really interesting how this came about. I think I've always had this kind of clear cognizance, knowing that this was not like there's something needed to change, but I was so scared about what that meant. But the way that it came about actually didn't start with the conversation with my boss. It actually started on January 31st, 2023. I opened up Facebook and here I am drinking my glass of wine and scrolling. And a very dear friend of mine was jumping in a pool. It was there'd been a snow in North Texas, and she was doing a polar plunge to celebrate being 100 days alcohol free.
Oh, interesting. Right.
And I was like, unmute, like, what is she doing? And while I'm drinking my glass of wine and she's saying all the wonderful things about what she's experienced after not drinking for 100 days. In my head, I'm like, I need to reach out to her. This is interesting to me.
Right.
And so a couple of conversations and I decided, hey, I'm going to take 100 days and go alcohol free because I felt like crap. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't showing up well. And I was so misaligned in this work.
Right. So you were a daily drinker, and it's easy to drink a bottle of wine. I know that once I was on a phone call with one of my sisters, and I'm like, she's like, let's just have like an inch of wine. And then I'm like 9 inches later, like we're just like, it's easy to do.
I love that. Yeah. Well, and I always say like, oh, I'll just have a glass, but it never was just one, and it was never two. It was always three, three.
Sure. Right.
So at the beginning of February 1st, 2023, I started my 100 days not drinking, and 45 days into this 100 days, I had a very pivotal conversation with my boss. We had just wrapped up a leadership meeting the previous week, and we were talking about goals for 2023. And I said something, and honestly, it's the scariest thing I've ever said in my entire life. I said in this meeting, and I was literally trying to hold back the tears. But I said, listen, if success in this role means I need to spend 50% of my time doing these things, then I don't think I'm the right person for the role.
Oh, wow.
And that was me putting my identity, my definition of success, all of that on the line, all of it.
So okay. So just a couple of things. So you decide I'm sort of this daily drinker, like it became a coping mechanism. I have lots of friends who are like that too, sort of in that they call it like gray drinking. It's not bad, but it's also not good. And so what if I quit? And so you decided to do this. And then what was like that first, because stopping something like that is really interesting. So were you, what was the first thing? Like, was it hard for you to start?
Oh my gosh.
At what point to and then continue? Because I bet there are just all sorts of little like landmines in there that can just really easily take you off track. Yeah. If you're not really okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will tell you, so February 1st is when I started. My birthday is the 19th of February. You have Valentine's Day in there. And at the end of the month, I attended a gala. So all events that I would normally be drinking at.
Sure.
And I did not tell, my husband knew, but none of my closest friends knew because I was so scared I was going to fail. I didn't live it out loud on social media again, because I was so scared of failing and I didn't want to be known for failing in something like that.
Oh, sure.
And so, yes, it was hard. It was hard to navigate those things because I had to recreate like, what do social situations look like with Molly who's not drinking? What does that look like? Are they fun? Are they even fun anymore? Can I have a good time without drinking a phenomenal glass of Pinot Noir?
Right.
Cut to the end. Yes, 100% I can. Yeah. I will say though that I was sleeping better very quickly. I started sleeping better. I started showing up more clear-headed. I just overall health felt better, dropped some weight as well. And I was committed to doing the 100 days. And so I felt good. I will say probably the first 2 months were probably the hardest, but then I had my go-tos. So it became easier to get through the day by day, if that makes sense.
Right. So then how did you then so here you went from like numbing yourself to 45 days later.
Yeah.
Like when did things start falling into place for you? And how did that feel because you said I was really clear-headed. So sometimes like we want to be clear-headed, but then we don't really want to look at ourselves or the situation. We're just like, oh, that's too real. But you were able to go there.
Well, I'll say like it was not a straight line, but what I will say is when you have a coping mechanism like drinking, you are going to, unless you are very emotionally aware in attune with your emotions, generally something else is going to fill that gap. So for me, filling that gap became binge watching, binge scrolling. Again, I was still checking out, but I was not getting drunk.
Right.
So, but I realized that, I've just replaced wine with Candy Crush Saga. Okay. Or I just replaced it with yet another rerun of Grey's Anatomy. Right. And so I started to see these patterns and it's like, okay, what is really going on? And kind of that really started me digging into, okay, what am I actually feeling?
Right.
Which
right. That
crazy
I think,
What
were you feeling? Like what were you avoiding feeling?
Oh, yeah. Well, so in this first 45 days, I had not had that conversation with my boss at that time. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to do the work that I was, given to do in this job.
Right.
And there's a certain sense of ambiguity with smaller companies aren't like, super defined goals and all of that. It's a little bit of a moving target. And so what does success look like? Because for me, for decades, success for me was success in business, making a lot of money, equity in the company, titles, and all of those things. That was my definition of success for decades. And so it's like, how am I going to maintain this? How am I going to keep this that I've worked myself into?
Right. And so much of our identity I just remember, I was a vice president of a company and then I was laid off.
Yeah.
And then my next position, I was a director level. And I remember thinking I was making the same amount of money. So it wasn't like at my job, but I remember thinking, I don't care about a title. And the thing is I really cared about the title then. I don't know why. Probably ego, part of it, but
of course,
part of it tells the world like
who you are,
where you fit in and how you fit in. So how do you? So you tell your boss like I'm misaligned with this like biz dev side of my job. Yeah. Then what happened?
Oh my gosh. I could not have predicted his response, but his response was just beautiful. He said, what if you could do your, like the part of the role that you love, the operational side, the people management development side, and then have more time for your coaching business. At the time I had a health coaching practice. They knew that when they hired me and all of that. My coaching business has since shifted, but I was like, I get to keep the part of my job that I love and have more time to do my coaching business. Like, that sounds like a dream. Right. And he's like, then let's take some time to figure out what that could look like.
Wow. Okay. So then you guys worked together to collaborate that, but you did have a sort of a double, what I call a double whammy. I don't want to say demotion because I just don't like that word. And I don't think it's appropriate because you moved from to a different place on the org chart where you were a director level now and you took a pay cut. So how did that challenge the way you measured your own worth, like that kind of shift?
Yes. So over the preceding 6 weeks, we figured out which part of my current role I would hold on to and what I would give up, or we would either backfill or hire somebody in to do, which is great.
Right.
And it did mean a salary cut and going from the C level to a director level role. And I'll tell you, I didn't I didn't navigate that beautifully. I spent a lot of time with my therapist talking through what story was I telling myself that, somebody who has mentored me in my, like, there are specific people in my life, people who've been phenomenal business mentors of mine. Like when they go to my LinkedIn profile and they see, the progression of my career all the way to the C level. And then they see that my role, went from C level to director level. What are they going to say about me?
Right.
It's like, I spent so much time in that what if, what are they going to think? And deconstructing those stories, it took some time to do.
Right. Do you look back and you think about like where the origin of that came from? Like where that, where that story started?
Oh, sure. Well, it started with me. It started with me 15 years before when I had one of these same mentors in businesses like, Molly, you are so well suited for operational executive leadership. You could be a COO, you could be a whatever. And he believed in me and he planted that seed. And it's like, oh, I have the chops to do something like this. Somebody who I deeply respect believes in me. And to me at that time, like to have that trajectory kind of dangled in front of me to say like, hey, I see you and you have the skills, you have the temperament, the personality, the whatever to do that. It created that story in me. And I manifested this role, this job to only realize this is not the highest and best use for me.
That's so interesting because you always hear about these manifestation stories where it just turns out great for everyone all the time. Like I remember being on a call once where everyone's like, oh, we're doing something called risking forward, that you take a risk and everyone's like, oh, this happened and I won a car in a sweepstakes. Like everyone's like, and I'm like, well, I'm risking forward and I just keep on falling. So like, shut up, everyone. Like, so when you think about like manifesting and you manifest something that the universe does give in ways that we don't expect. Yes. Like I know that, like don't define the outcome, but like,
that's right.
How did that feel to like think like universe, like, did you trick me for a second?
Yeah. I think that first of all, there are no surprises. There are no coincidences. Everything happens for a reason and a purpose. Yes. And I'll tell you that, oh, this is so good, girl. This is so good. So, so mid-March, I start this conversation. May 1st, I start the new role, director level role. Okay. And I also don't work 50, 60 hours a week anymore. I work 25, 30 hours a week. Oh, by the way.
Right.
Yeah. So it was such a beautiful setup. I'm so grateful for it. I absolutely love what I do. But I will tell you, I was on a walk. It was June. So about a month into the role, and I'm listening to an Ed Milet podcast with Jamie Kern-Lima, and she's talking about her book, Worthy. And this is like 9 months before her book came out. And she said something and it stopped me in my tracks. And I'm like, I manifested this. I manifested this exact setup. She said, sometimes a setback is really a setup for what's supposed to come. And I remember when I took this job in June of 2020, I told the CEO while we were in conversations about the role. I said, I want to work in corporate a handful more years. And then I want to go into coaching full time. And so I remember thinking at some juncture, I'm going to be able to do both.
Right.
I remember saying that, or when we were negotiating me coming over, like that is an intention that I set back then. And I realized in the moment on that walk in June of 2023 that I had actually manifested exactly what I was living, not how I got there. Like, didn't manifest that. Yes. But here's the thing, and oh my gosh, I love this, is that when we are trying to call something into our lives and manifest something, we're responsible for the what it is, the why we want it, the how and the when, not up to us, up to the creator.
Okay, wait, say that again, because that really gave me goosebumps. Like we should make bumper stickers out of this.
Yeah,
so
preach it, girl. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So when we're calling in something, when we're manifesting something, our job, our human job here is, what is it that we want to call in and create? Okay. Why is it important to us. Like, what is it going to give us? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also add, how are we going to feel when we have it?
Right. Of course. Yes.
But the how it comes about and the when it comes about is the universe's job, or the God or creator of your own understanding job.
Right.
We can't control the how and the when. And when we get into like overwhelm or overthink or anything like that with something that we are trying to manifest, it's because almost universally we are trying to navigate the how and the when, which is not our job.
Right. Yes. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that in my 30s.
Girl, you and me both.
No, seriously. Like I didn't learn that. Like I would have just been, I had such a complicated relationship with my career. Mm-hmm. I was so ambitious, but like I was not great with the relationships then, some of the relationships. And I just, and then I would just, it was just like everything was about work. And if I was at work, I wasn't like with my family. If I was with my family, I wasn't with work. Like I just felt like so completely discombobulated all of the time. So you would call that like being in the funk, right?
100%.
I want to talk about what the funk is. Yes. And then how, because you really want to help people identify like when they're in it, because it's not always, because burnout happens so slowly. It happens without you even knowing it. You're so far over the edge before you really, I think, even realize. Most people, completely it can happen. Agree. It's like a dog whistle. Like just because you can't hear it doesn't mean it's not making a sound.
You're exactly right. Yeah. Just like a dog whistle.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that I wrote a book called What the Funk, and it documents a couple of the health, mindset, and purpose. And I tell the story of this, of my C-level career and all of that in part 3 of the book. But I just talk about like how to recognize when you are in a funk. And you know what I've realized as I've been doing this work, and I coach others as well, is that the funk typically starts when we are in some type of emotional chaos. So when we are in overwhelm, overthink, if we're playing the peacemaker, or in this season of perfectionism, or we're trying to control the things that are really outside our control, that creates emotional chaos, right? And so anytime we're in emotional chaos, we're not aware of what we're feeling. We're probably bypassing a little bit, or we're escaping, numbing, or ignoring, which I don't know about you, but that's people. I'm Generation X. I'll be turned 50 here shortly. Like we weren't taught how to name or attune or acknowledge our emotions.
Right. That's true. Yes.
Yeah. It's like we can stuff
it. That's why I think the next generation, like the generation that we gave birth to, does.
Yeah.
Because we were like, that's important.
It is. Well, and I think that as especially Gen X is coming up to like, okay, what do I want to do with the second chapter, right? Like kids are raised and so forth. What do you actually want to do? What kind of impact do you want to have in the world? In order to do that and do it in a meaningful way, you've got to have some emotional awareness. You've got to have it, or you will be stunted. Right. And so a lot of time what I found is that the funk always is going to begin or have a seed in some type of emotional chaos, but there's a way out.
So like, how do you look at that? Because your technique, it blends like emotional awareness, nervous system, and then energy healing too. So like, what are some cues? Like when you, like, what do people do when you're like, hey, become aware of your emotional awareness or become aware of your emotions? It's like, well, I get what that means, but like, how would I go about doing that? Just doing a quick scan.
Absolutely. So first, if you want to build some of that awareness, the very first thing is to get grounded in the body and the breath. So really taking some time to do some box breathing or whatever to really get grounded in the body. I think that's so important. And then we want to build that emotional literacy. So like putting the actual like words to your feelings, not good or fine or mad or angry. I'm talking building that emotional vocabulary. I use a feelings wheel. You can Google it.
My daughter just showed that to me. And I was like, oh my God. Cause I had a therapist who was like, There's mad, sad, glad, afraid, and hurt. Yeah. Like, oh, you even have like a hard copy one.
Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
It was so interesting because my daughter was like, well, mad can have all of these different dimensions.
Yes.
Too.
That's
so
exactly
it was
right.
really super cool. I didn't know that you could get, I'm going to order one.
Yes.
I'm sure you can get them on Amazon. Yeah.
100% Amazon. It comes in a stand and it sits on my desk. So I've got feelings wheels all over my house, but truly like that is the tool. And I'm like remedial. I'm the remedial gal here. We're going to make it so stinking easy. I'm going to look at a feelings wheel and I'm like, okay, what is it that I'm feeling right now? Right. And then not to judge it, but just to sit with it and acknowledge it.
Right.
It's like, okay. Yeah. And so sitting with that and acknowledging it and then realizing, okay, what's inside my control and not inside my control. Right.
Yes. Yeah. And
then I have a whole bag of tools that I go to for nervous system regulation. Right. So bilateral stimulation, EFT tapping, breath work, all of those kinds of things to help regulate the nervous system. Because when you've identified what you're feeling and you've acknowledged it, you're not trying to bypass it, override it, stuff it, ignore it, drink it away, and you regulate the nervous system, then you've reclaimed your agency to move forward from a really grounded and aligned place.
Right.
Yeah.
I find, so I had this really crazy brain thing in 2024 where it turned out I just had I just had a brain aneurysm.
Oh, good gosh.
And I had brain surgery, but like during it, I was being tested for a deadly diagnosis, ALS. And my mother-in-law died of ALS. So I had informed speculation. And so what was so interesting is one of the biggest feelings I felt two societal narratives. One was like I had to do something like heroic. And I was like if I don't know, like if I needed crutches, like I would go to the store without crutches because, I'm going to like try. And I was like, no, if there's a tool or implement that's going to help me get around better right now, like I'm going to for sure do that. And then the second one was like, I had to always have positive thinking. Otherwise I was going to manifest, a deadly diagnosis straight into my life. And there's no way you have something hanging out there or like misalignment with your career where you're not thinking about your future, about good things, about scary things, about sad things,
all of it.
And so I found it was so interesting. Like I would be very upset and I would just say, oh my gosh, what am I feeling? And I'd be like, oh, I'm feeling sad. And then I'd be like, what am I feeling sad about? And I would describe what I was feeling sad about. And then I would just say, wow, that is absolutely, you can absolutely be sad about that. But like, do we have any facts to support this? That was like the next question.
Yes.
And
is it
100%
real perception? The stories.
Yeah. And then 100% of the time with my health, I did not have information. Like we were chasing a diagnosis. Yeah. And so then it was just like, okay, that's just speculation. Speculation is a story. And I just want to just say how that process of naming and acknowledging and validating, because it's a real feeling you're having.
100%.
It does. It completely, I could go from crying to be like perfectly calm and breathing. And I'm like, wait a second. What just happened? Like, what did I just do? And it was just trying not to push away that emotion. Like, why do you think, well, I guess we don't want to feel the feels all the time, but why do you think sometimes we're avoidant of feeling, allowing ourselves?
I think a lot of it probably goes back to how we were raised, and our childhood and our experiences. I think a lot of that for me goes back. I think for the women that I work with, I think that's truly the case. I think though that, we're always drawing conclusion. We're always trying to put pieces together, and whatever makes sense is the story that gets filed. And so that can create limiting beliefs, and then we're viewing our life, we're living our life through the lens of those stories that are perception, not reality.
Right.
And so it takes some very intentional work to face those stories and say, okay, is this actually rooted in fact? Just like you did. Like that's a beautiful example of naming and attuning and acknowledging your emotion. And then actually going, the emotion is real, but the story attached to it isn't not.
Even, no. That's exactly. And then that is just, I don't know what it does. But I could go from being like very emotional, like very like crying, and then just be completely calm. And I'm like, that's really incredible. So I just want to say, like, because sometimes it seems so simple. How can you think your way out of an emotion? But what I found too is most often it is the simple things. It's like today I started, like, I got bad about meditating. And so I stopped meditating. So of course, like I stopped meditating altogether. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I meditated this morning. And I'm like, this just feels so good. It feels so nice. Like, I just want to do this all the time. But it's like, how hard is it just to sit quietly for 10 minutes? Not hard at all.
No. Like, it pays dividends.
Oh, seriously. So so if someone's listening and they feel stuck in a funk, but they're not ready to go to their boss and ask for like, and really blow up their life yet, what is like the first, like the best next step they could take to start this idea of moving towards alignment? Because I can appreciate, like, I had like a life-changing experience, right? That caused me, my body to like just everything. So like I had an extenuating circumstance. You like were looking at your own like personal happiness, survival. What do I want in this world? So I think in many ways, like you're a lot more courageous because you took a situation that so many people are in and you're like, I'm going to do something completely counterintuitive. So I just want to say, but that idea of what is alignment was really elusive to me. I needed to have a brain aneurysm just to learn it. And what can someone do? And then how do they know they're on the right track? Like that this is like they're on the path to alignment.
So if you're in a funk, particularly with your career, your current job, I would get very clear on what feels misaligned. Like typically when something doesn't feel right, it's pretty easy to identify. I call it kind of living in the contrast or the law of contrast. Like there is some type of contrast that you're experiencing. So what is it that doesn't fit? So spending some time kind of figuring that piece out. And then always going to go back to the feelings wheel. Like, how do you feel in that? And how do you want to feel instead? Right. So part of it is you've got to get rooted and clear on your current reality. What's the current reality? How do you feel in that current reality? How do you want to feel instead? And so forth. And this piece, like I cover this in part 3 of my book around alignment and your purpose, because I've got a little formula in there, but it really does start with how are you feeling in where you are, what feels aligned, what feels misaligned. And you may actually be able to shift, like I was, be able to stay at the same company, but shift the role. Right. This is specific to career. And it might not be that. You might have to leave or find an outlet for your purpose someplace else, not in your day-to-day job or career. If that makes sense.
I love that. Like, for instance, if you feel like you wish that your job had more opportunities for creative outlet, that doesn't mean that you can't be creative.
Correct.
Outside someplace of work. Yeah. But it's interesting how we sometimes say like, oh, I want to be creative and I don't have that chance. And then it's like, you totally still have that chance. It just depends on how you want to spend your time.
That's exactly
right. Because time is like the great equalizer too. We all have the same amount of time.
Yes, it is. Right.
I know. I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, I know that's so true. So I think, so Molly, also, you're also a coach too, and you work, tell me how you work with the kind of people you work with and what you help them with.
Yeah. So I do one-on-one coaching with women. I have kind of a container where I mix in these coaching principles, but also some energy healing. So I help people release their emotional baggage without therapy using a modality called the emotion code, where we release the subconscious and the energetic hold that emotional baggage has. It's such a beautiful modality. And I'm floored every time I do a session with a client. It's absolutely amazing to see what comes up and what we get to release. So it's a combination of those things. Right. And then I also have a membership where I help people energetically, I'm like the energetic oil change for your life. So nervous system regulation, I do bioresonance frequency scanning every single day for the clients in the collective,
Wow.
and help them move forward. I primarily work with business owners, but and primarily with women. But
Right.
when you've got a big mission, a big mission and a big impact that you're trying to make in the world, making sure that your energy is aligned, that you are emotionally aware and regulating your nervous system along the way is so important.
It is so important. And I just know from my own healing journey just how powerful somatic, I've been doing somatic body work. That has just been incredible.
Yeah.
And it really is like, I know it's like what the gurus say. It's like, love yourself first.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, okay, I know. But like when you really, 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 really do, it really, really, really makes a difference.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I said, Lisa Nichols once said that we should be operating out of the overflow. So if our cup isn't full, our first job is to make sure that cup gets refilled, and then we get to serve out of the overflow, because it's a much different experience when you are showing up in the world out of your overflow than from your empty cup. Can I get an amen? Right? I mean,
oh my God. Amen. Yes, you can. Totally.
Yes.
So how and where can people get in touch with you and find you if they're interested in learning more?
Absolutely.
Or want to get your book?
Of course. Oh, I'll send you one. Of course. So you can find me. My website is nextbeststep.co. You can find me on Facebook, Molly Moore Smith, and please follow me on my YouTube channel. Is at Molly Positive Pants is my handle.
Love this. Yes, like I noticed that is your email address, and I'm like, I love that your email is Positive Pants.
Yeah.
So like, tell me what the backstory is about that.
Yeah, there's a backstory, girl. There's one. A couple of years ago, I had one of those days that working moms have all had, where it's like just the hits keep on coming, like things that you couldn't think of are going to happen all in one day, happen in one day. And then after the work day, things happen with the kids. And I literally was like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I got to keep my positive pants on. Like it's comical, like all of the things that have happened. I'm going to choose to just roll with it. Molly's got her positive pants on, and it just stuck. It just stuck.
I love it. It made me, I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait to talk to this person.
Yeah. It just stuck. So Molly Positive Pants, people call me MPP. I've been like, people come up to me in the town that I live in. They're like, Molly Positive Pants. I'm like, hey,
oh my God, I love that. I'm going to use that too. Like, it's so much better than putting on your big girl pants. It's like, put on your positive pants. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I love that. Molly Smith, thank you so much. This has been absolutely such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for having me.